football kickoff, NC State Wolfpack time. In Dave Doeren's 11th season, they finished 9-4, winning at least 8 games in 4 straight seasons for the first time in program history. That's consistency. The Pack has numerous incoming transfers, including a new signal caller who you've seen walking around here today. Grayson McCall makes the move from Coastal Carolina to Raleigh. He passed for more than 1,900 yards with 10 touchdowns last season. And returning for the Pack includes 2023 ACC Rookie of the Year, this superstar, Casey Concepcion. Davin Van on defense, rocking that number 1, and he's going to be big, continue to take more steps. No more Peyton Wilson, but they still got some dogs on that defense. Joined now by head coach Dave Doeren. Coach, we were joking in the break. We're like, we're all getting old. You're like, yeah, I don't feel like it. I'm still kicking 20-year-old butts every day. You're going into year 12 at NC State, which is awesome to see the longevity. You walked away from spring feeling what about this team and this program this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very motivated group. I think the most balanced we've probably been when you look at the 3 phases of the game. Spring ball was back and forth, which was fun to see. I know on defense, offense, you come off the field feeling a certain way as a head coach. When the practice went back and forth, that's a good thing. You know, you want to see both sides of the ball playing at a high level. And we've worked really hard, not just in developing players, but adding some older players to the roster that create that competitive depth.
Coach, I'm just wondering, every time you turn on the tape, that defense looks the same. Guys are flying around, hard hitting. Just wondering how you maintain that when the roster's changing so often.
Well, it's recruiting, it's development, it's retention, and it's staff. You know, Tony Gibson and the defensive staff have been together now going on 6 years. We haven't had a staff change, and those guys are speaking the same language. They understand the system. The players, same thing. They understand it inside and out. And there's a level that you have to play at to be on that field. You got to earn the right to be out there and hunt. And that's part of what this defense is about. And, you know, I love that mentality.
Coach, looking at the offensive side of the ball, we just kind of showed your, signal caller there in Grayson McCall and a guy that, I'm very familiar with, saw him at his Coastal days, called some of his games. He brings a different element to your game. Why was he the quarterback you went after this offseason?
He's a winner, 3-time player of the year. Won a bunch of championships, carries a big chip on his shoulder. Young man from Charlotte, so being an in-state player added to the mix. But just in the first conversation we had, I could tell that there was just the intangibles that I look for in a quarterback, the way that he's going to lead, his confidence, but also the way that he cares about people. It's just a perfect fit, and we were fortunate. Sometimes things go your way when you're looking for a guy, and it wasn't very hard to, hey, do we want this? Yes. You know what I mean? Like, let's see if we can get him on the team. And it didn't take long because, he wanted his family to be a part of this last year as well.
He said after he visited you guys, it was over. I don't know when that timetable happened, but he said that he felt everything that you just said, which that's great when that marries up.
Yeah, when you're number 1 guy and, he's on the board and you get him and we're his number 1 school, that union's pretty special. It doesn't always happen that way, as you know. And I wish it would have been immediate. I wish he would have committed. I had to suffer a couple weeks while he visited other schools. But, yeah, it all ended up the way it should have.
Yeah.
Coach, going back to the defense, do you guys live tackle in camp some? And if you do, what's the philosophy behind that?
Yeah, that's kind of the magic of camp, right? How much is too much? And we have our scrimmages like everybody does. And then, within some of the practices, we'll have a 3-period live section where I think it's hard to practice goal line offense and goal line defense and thud.
I always thought it's hard to get good at tackling if you don't tackle.
No question. Yeah. So we'll have some, short periods where maybe, hey, we're going to have 9 short yardage plays here, and it's live. And so it's not about, to me, having 5 scrimmages. It's – and even when you scrimmage, sometimes it's, hey, this guy's only going to get 2 series because he's proven he's ready. So it's player by player and both sides of the ball. Every time we have those moments, how many snaps is enough and who needs the work.
Right.
Coach, to bring Jordan and Grayson to represent NC State, they just got there a couple months ago. What have they shown you as far as leadership that they deserve the right to be here?
Yeah, well, it's day-to-day, how they act, how they integrated, the way they worked at practice. When they get to practice, what they do. When they're in the locker room, what are they doing, the way the guys look at them. And obviously, they've earned the right to be here. I mean, they're proven players. I look at this ACC Media Days as kind of the culmination for players when you can make it a seniors thing, I like to do that. And these are guys that have earned that opportunity.
Coach, looking at Casey Concepcion last year, I mean, just exploded onto the scene. And a guy that, at the end of the year, throwing it, catching it, running it, I mean, he truly was doing everything. As we see this graphic here, you now added a ton of guys around him, Noah Rogers, Joe Lee that came in, a couple other wide receivers as well. How will adding that type of talent help him? Because I think a lot of people will be like, oh, well, you brought other people, he's going to be his role will be diminished. How will that help him having other guys?
Yeah, I think just being able to spread the ball around more and not allow people to zero in on this guy and where is number 10 every play. They're probably going to still have to do that because we're going to get him the ball. Yeah. But, it doesn't put the pressure on him to play running back like we did last year. We have a lot of good running backs now, and so that room helps KC be more of a receiver and get him the ball other ways. And for the quarterback, knowing that whatever the defense tells him to do, he can do it, and there's a guy there that can make him pay for it, right? If you're going to play one-on-one coverage with Dakari and Noah Rogers or Wesley Grimes, that helps, and Justin Jolie, having a tight end that can run and catch like him, adds another dimension.
How unique was that? I mean, the amount of responsibility that KC was given last year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, it's rare, right?
Yeah, and it, as a staff, we knew coming out of spring ball and even training camp that he was dynamic. Robert was worried about putting too much on him too early because that's a big responsibility. And once we hit the bye week and really looked at where's our production coming from, it was like, all right, well, we're going to go that direction. Right? This is the guy that makes the thing go. And so KC took on a lot of responsibility, and he really managed it. And I think it helped him because he was sore at the end of the year. He took a lot of hits. And knowing here's my off season and here's why I need to do this, and I'm better prepared for what that looks like.
Coach, is there anything that you learned from the BA situation last year, having a quarterback come in and be the guy that's kind of going to help Grayson along?
Every year is different in that room. Last year is a book, and it would take forever to talk about that situation. But really excited about how it ended for Brendan and what he was able to do. I've had a multitude of transfers at quarterback now, going back to Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Finley. And so I've seen it different ways come out. And Grayson walked in the door and everybody open arms, invited him in. And the way that he works, the way that he treats people, it's easy to respect him, And then when you see his stats, you're like, holy cow, this guy's throwing for 10,000 yards. He's 3-time player of the year. He's won this many championships. So he's a proven player, but the way that he treats people and the way that he works is what really gets him that respect from the locker room.
Coach, during your time, you guys haven't been just good, but very good. And now you're working towards being great. What's going to get you over the hump?
Yeah, it's one player, right? You get into these one-possession games, and that's the difference in what kind of season you're going to have, I think. And you need a player that can make that play for you. I think we have more competitive depth than we've ever had on the offensive side of the football. And so when you're talking about college football now, it's win the league or be in the top 11. That's what gets you to be great, to be in that 12-team playoff. And so for us, it's that 10th win, 11th win, getting into that platform and finding ways to win those one-possession games that we're going to be in. There'll be 5 or 6 of them.
Right.
And every year you have 5 or 6 one-possession games.
Coach, I always wondered, I know it's a pain in the butt to come here. You guys just want to coach football. Is there any coaches that you look forward to seeing outside of a competitive atmosphere?
A lot of our coaches, we get along, and seeing each other. I've known Dave Clausen and Pat Narduzzi a long time now. But every time you see these guys, coaching is a fraternity, man. I mean, we do a rare thing, and not many people do what we do and understand how hard it is. And I have great respect for all these guys. And even seeing the new coach in there at breakfast from Syracuse, I'm like, how you doing, man? Like, because year one's hard. I don't care. Even if you're a guy, coach left, Georgia to go to Miami, year one at whatever school you go to, nobody can understand what that's like.
First time head coach in that, the weight of the responsibility is just like, wow.
Yeah, man, it's drinking tequila out of a fire hose is how I explain it to you. I mean, it's hard. Yeah. And so and I'm pulling for all these guys until we play against each other. Right. I mean, I want our teams to do well.
Yeah, I think I'm good on drinking tequila out of a hose. I'm okay on that. We asked Justin Wilcox, the head coach at Cal, because both of you love fishing, what he caught this summer, and he said he's keeping it close to the chest. He didn't want to share. But I got to ask you, the fisherman, did you catch anything good this summer?
Yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of good trips.
Angler.
And my youngest son went off to college this summer, so I made a point to get out with him. And we went out with a booster on his boat in the ocean, which I don't do a lot. But we caught 6 marlin in one trip.
Oh, wow.
Which was pretty epic. 5 blue and a white in one day. And I caught 2 of them. My son caught 2, and his friend caught 1, and another guy on the boat caught 1. So that was a pretty cool day. Went fly fishing, went bass fishing with Jordan Waters.
Nice.
Yeah, we've had some fun, and that's what I love about North Carolina. I can drive, fly fish in the mountains, go to the ocean, deep sea fish, go to the lake, freshwater fish, and so yeah, I get my fill of that.
Not bad.
Big
Not
fish hopefully equals big wins
That's
this
right.
season too, Coach.
Absolutely.
Dave Doeren, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Looking
Go
forward to
Pack.
the season. We got much more coming up from ACC Kickoff here in Uptown Charlotte.